Hello, and I'm happy to be sitting here with Martin Simoons, who's past president of the European Society of Cardiology. And Martin was president from the year 2000 to the year 2002. And we were just saying that in 2000 the Congress was in Amsterdam, city to which we will be going back in 2013, which has brought us to talk about what's happened between those 2 years, 2000 to 2012 next year. Martin, can you tell me a bit more about the scope of the membership of ESC since 2000?
I think basically there are lots of things in common. The basic structure of the society has changed somewhat, but the conferences look alike, but they are much bigger. The number of people who attend the conferences are much larger than we used to have, and I've been surprised to see a continuing growth. At some moment you would expect it to stop growing and perhaps to go down a bit, but so far we have not seen that. And probably that is a result of more people from outside Europe coming to attend our congresses. And I think we're very pleased to see that.
Yeah, I can confirm that the number of people from the affiliated cardiac societies, 35 of them, and from the rest of the world, such as South America and Asia Pacific, has grown enormously. In fact, represents now nearly 17 or 18% of the people at the Congress today, so that's a very large number of people. I must say I was very pleased and quite surprised to see that at this Congress we have 150 countries present at the Congress, which is fantastic, really.
And at the same time, what I realized talking to people in my own country, in the Netherlands, that there's not much need anymore, which it was 20 years ago, to go transatlantic to meetings. People have realized that they find the science and education in Europe at the level that they require.
Yeah, I think that's also been helped by technology. Frequently people are a little bit afraid that technology will stop people from going to congresses. In my experience, it's enhanced the whole Congress experience by enabling videos, enabling the sort of conversation we're having now, by enabling transferring presentations by internet and preparing videos and having conference calls, etc. So I think it's actually made congresses bigger, the different technology.
In the data that you want to see, you can see almost as easily at home by looking at the web. But the interaction with the presenters, but also the interaction with all the colleagues that you do at the meeting is very useful. So I think there will be a continuing need for the congresses, perhaps in some smaller size at some point in time, but it will be there.
Oh, it would be a shame because this one's been such fun, but I agree. And what's been happening as well is the development of what we're calling the sub-specialties of cardiology, or specific branches of cardiology, which have immensely developed, especially in the past years. I don't think there were officially in 2000 recognized registered branches of ESC when you were president, and they have developed since then.
Well, we have seen the transition of some of the working groups towards what we now call associations, which are larger structures, but basically have the same interest like the smaller working groups. And indeed, people like to go to subspecialty meetings, but also this large congress is for many people a series of subspecialty meetings which are held at the same time. And the people are interested in electrophysiology stay in the electrophysiology village, and other people stay in the echocardiography village. And there are also people, happily enough, who move around to different places.
But I think it's very visible, the development of all of these branches of the ESC with the multiplication of their activities and their different projects. They've now got congresses, but they're also the journals. Yep. So now 7 journals, and we've learned at this Congress that there will be a new journal soon and a new annual Congress in acute cardiac care. So I think that it's obvious that there is a multiplication of the different activities activities.
Yeah, and that went very fast. I recall signing the contract for the first EP journal, Europace, at that moment to become part of the society, and that has expanded. And I think it's very important and useful that, for example, the Echo journal is going to transfer to a broader imaging journal, and well, in the Netherlands we now recognize officially 6 subspecialties.
Really?
And so the whole training program will be directed towards, well, a few years general cardiology, but then 1 or 2 years subspecialty cardiology.
And that's very interesting because, as you know, we're now developing an education platform which will be a platform on which all of the subspecialties will be able to put the modules for certification, for knowledge assessment, for skills and for professionalism, which corresponds exactly to the evolution that you're describing in the Netherlands.
Yeah, and I hope that this also will be expanded to the basis, because we start at the level of the subspecialty training, and that is relatively straightforward to do that. I think we might expand it to basic cardiology training, and also develop basic cardiology-oriented programs, and perhaps an international examination at the end of your cardiology training. But that will be another decade to develop that.
Probably, though it's true that the main objective, we hope, will be towards harmonization and a uniform teaching of cardiology across the member states of ESC, but that is going to take a little bit of time, that's for sure.
And it is also very nice to see that it's not only the cardiologists, but also the nurses and other professionals linked to our profession. I recall that we started the nursing program in around the year 2000, and it's been expanding, which is a good thing to see.
Yeah, and definitely one of those that is very active, and they have all sorts of projects going on. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well was the whole data collection that we are trying to put in place with a very ambitious registries project. And I think that we're getting more and more messages, whether it be from the European Commission or whether it be from our members or some of the other countries with whom we're exchanging, the importance of collecting reliable data on cardiovascular disease.
Yeah, but that is important for 2 very different applications. One is, let's say, the epidemiology. We should know how many patients with myocardial infarction are in Europe, or how many patients with heart failure or with certain other diseases. But also it opens the way for a European quality assurance program in which you collect the data and use that to verify that you are performing in your own environment at a level which is equivalent to the performance in other hospitals. And well, I know, for example, for cardiac surgery, that in the Netherlands we have had problems with one of the surgical units which became visible through this type of data collection, and then help them to improve their quality to become equal again at the same standards as the others.
But I think this is a very exciting project, particularly as we can, we're probably in a unique position of being able to collect this data across a much wider range than the 27 countries of the European Commission, thus giving a fantastic vision of what's happening, helping the institutions and the hospitals, but hopefully also helping the patients and helping the governments to go towards better treatment and better access to treatment.
Yeah, one thing which becomes clear immediately, which is at the level of for the healthcare providers and the governments, if you see major differences between one country and the other, that will probably help the country which is behind in their development to improve, to catch up. But also on the hospital level, if you see that one hospital is either performing very excellent or performing on a low standard, you can help everyone to move to the better quality sites. So that will work. It's a major effort, but I'm very pleased to see that. And in fact, that is also something that we started in the late 90s.
So now that we've gone through from the year 2000, 2002 to 2012, what do you think will happen between 2012 to 2020?
Well, it's very difficult to make predictions, particularly about the future. I would expect that the subspecialty development will continue and will become stronger, and that may even become a threat to the overall concept of cardiology. So we will have a challenge to keep it together. So far in the European society, we have been able to keep it all together.
Absolutely.
And I hope we will continue to do so. We will have much more emphasis on quality assurance. We will have more, how would you say that? I'm trying to look for the good word. There is a word which is called, conflicts of interest. I'm not such much a believer in conflicts. There are interests everywhere, and not all interests are conflicts. But to make transparent who has which relations, who has been responsible for certain parts of research, that will get more emphasis in the future. Particularly for the guidelines, we have to be very careful not to over-represent certain biased ideas in the guideline development. So far, I think we have been successful in avoiding that, but that is a challenge in the future.
Well, I think it's a very big challenge, and clearly the ESC has tried to be ahead of this by asking all of the volunteers who have anything to do with the society to fill in a declaration of interest this year. To my knowledge, we're probably the only society that does this, and it's quite remarkable that the nearly 2,000 volunteers have filled in this declaration and sent it back to the ESC. So I think it's probably the first step of a difficult subject, but it's obvious that there is a strong support for this.
And with volunteers, you mean the cardiologists who are working
cardiologists
in
who
all kinds of
are
committees
working either as scientific participants or officers of different committees. All of them have sent back their declaration of interest. It's very, very remarkable, quite unique. So I think we can expect the ESC to continue to develop and to be innovative as it has been up to now, and that you will continue to be a volunteer and participate in the ESC for the next 10 years.
Well, I look forward to be here 10 years from now, perhaps back in Paris or in other places.
Perhaps back in Paris.
And another thing which will change, and I don't know how that will go, is the journals will move much more to an electronic fashion. Personally, I have stopped almost all subscriptions to journals because I get it all through my university library. So why would I have a personal subscription at home? I still get the European Heart Journal.
I'm glad to hear that. I was beginning to be worried. But do you read it online or do you get a paper subscription?
I get a paper subscription, but in fact I read most of the things online.
Right. Well, I think that is also the whole question, and the whole solutions that we will find for scientific communication in the near future, I think will be a very exciting time, because this is a tendency as well of getting things differently, but getting a lot of information arriving, and probably how do you manage all that information that comes pouring in?
Now, the online systems are already very good to find information if you really know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If I want the latest data on a certain drug or device, I can find that relatively easy. A paper journal, has also something else. You see a number of topics which are not in the front of your mind and which you would not look for. And still you see that something important is happening in a related field. And that you will miss that if you're just looking for online information.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons we've been trying to send the table of contents of the European Heart Journal by email to the different members, because that is something which they feel is important, is to be able to check what's coming up.
Yeah. For me, it doesn't work. I get those tables of contents of a large series of journals, and it is not very exciting to look at it. So we must find better ways of presenting the information, highlighting some parts of the information, instead of just sending a whole list of tables. But we'll find ways how to do that.
I'm sure we'll find ways, because the whole scientific communication is going to be probably the main subject in the coming years now, with all the technology, and how do we manage this?
And then I would like the whole Congress area to be accessible by internet, not just the few rooms that we have now available. Yeah.
Right, well, we take that into account, and we will try and make that ready for next year. Thank you very much, Martin. That was fantastic.
It's a pleasure.